It's the Eastside Fantasy Football Podcast. Today is Wednesday, November 16th. Joe's not here because he has polio. Or what did you say, Sam? He got his esophagus removed?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Or I didn't hear it from him. He had to text it because he can't talk at all.
Oh, you're right. Anyways, it's Nick Testoni as usual. Brought along a couple of guest hosts today. Jackson Edelman, Sam Smith, the statman. Hey, interesting week 10. There's no longer La Familia Testoni at the bottom of the standings. Did you guys notice that?
I wanted to congratulate you. It's about time. Long time coming.
Sam, any comments on my team?
Yeah, I'm just really happy for you. Assembled a lineup
that sounded fake.
You enjoy watching, so I'm happy that you're actually getting wins out of it. You're out of
This is exactly the week that I'm going to finally lose to playing you. It's exactly how it's going to go.
Well, I got to replace a linebacker, so we'll see. Let's get into what
Pete Werner is out there.
I did see him. I might pick him up. And his name is Pete, I don't know what you've been calling him.
Shout out Pete Friesen. I know you're listening.
Okay. This is a disaster episode. I'm sure it will be. Let's get into the news. Cooper Kupp, Joe, big fantasy guy for Joe, and not in the football sense, but Cooper Kupp expected to be out at least 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain. Looked pretty bad. He had surgery today, I believe, and there's a chance he doesn't come back the rest of the season.
Joey, make room in the iron lung, brother. Cooper Kupp's joining you right there.
Yeah, that's going to be a big hit. I mean, he's been averaging 11 targets a game, so now Allen Robinson may be worth something in fantasy.
No, probably not. Probably Ben Skoranek, if I had to guess, just from the way Sean McVay thinks.
Yeah, Higbee.
Gerald Everett, groin day-to-day. Tough news, Sam, for your Justin Herbert. Every time there's a remote option on the field, they go down and get hurt. But there was news that Keenan Allen, which who cares because he's been practicing all year. Keenan Allen will return to practice this week, and so will Mike Williams. I don't know what their status is. They do play next Sunday night.
I mean, he's going to go out there and try his very best, and that's all I can ask.
That's really sweet. Juju Smith-Schuster concussion. He got knocked out, man.
That was brutal. Yeah, that was absolutely brutal.
He's in concussion protocol. Week 11 status unknown. There's no way he's playing.
MVS looking better by the day.
You know, looks better by the day. Kadarius Toney
Looks really good.
You know, a guy who still gets on the field and scores touchdowns, not like MVS. Leonard Fournette, hip, expected to be available week 12 following the week 11 bye. The Bucs are on bye, but I did see something today that it is Rachaad White who's expected to continue with the starter's role. Not that that really means a ton because Fournette did score the touchdown, but I think if a lot of people had to say who looked better, it was Rachaad White. Leonard Fournette has been averaging under 3 yards a carry for, I think, about a month now. So we'll see. I think Rachaad White ends up maybe getting more touches, but it might still be Fournette around the goal line, so very tough to tell. Jerry Jeudy almost fucked me this week. Ankle, considered mild injury. Didn't look mild because he kind of non-contact went down. Missed the entire game on the first drive. Not expected to miss extended time. It wasn't his Achilles. They're saying it's just an ankle. But my God, he could have really sunk my team this week. And a lot of people's teams probably did. With a big fat 0.
I mean, now Cortland Sutton may be fantasy relevant. Now that Jerry Jeudy's out, Tim Patrick's out, KJ Hamler's out. Like, now Cortland Sutton may be worth starting every day.
This is Dolchich receiving core now. Don't get it twisted.
I hope so.
They have a good matchup. I believe they play the Raiders, but I don't think he'd be starting Russ. Oh, God. Zach Ertz, knee out for the rest of the year. Tough.
That's good news for you in terms of our league. Just Andy losing his tight end for the year.
Yeah.
You know, it was a 3-horse race for the basement.
Yeah, he was averaging 7 targets a game, so D-Hop and Marquise Brown, they're going to get some more once he comes back.
I was going to say, I heard stuff about Marquise Brown possibly being available. I think they said he's day-to-day from now on, which means nothing because James Conner was day-to-day for a month, it seemed like. So could get could get Hollywood Brown back before the bye. Most likely, I think, after the Week 13 bye. So Something to check on. Rondale Moore's looked really good. I like
Yeah,
him and his targets go up.
The way that he's playing, Rondale and D Hop, it's interesting to see what they do with Hollywood. That offense could be very scary or too many mouths to feed. I don't know what to expect yet, but that's a lot of talent.
Well, all those teams are chasing the Seattle Seahawks, who lost this weekend, so there's still a door wide open, except for maybe the Rams, because it's looking worse and worse by the day. Dallas Goedert out for multiple weeks. I believe it was a shoulder injury. I think it was on the face mask that wasn't called, and he fumbled. Didn't matter. He beat me in another league just because of that touchdown pass earlier. Real bullshit stuff. But Dallas Goedert probably going to miss a couple weeks. Shaq Leonard, for the IDP people, he's out for the season. Got a back surgery. Hasn't really done anything all year. If you don't know who that is, his name used to be Darius. And then Benjamin, pretty bizarre. I think it was he said something about playing time. The Cardinals cut him with they gave no reasoning for why they cut him. That was the report about playing time came from someone, I think, in the newspaper in Arizona, but no reasoning. He got claimed today by the Houston Texans. I think he'd be obviously running behind Dameon Pierce, but here's a good theory. I heard that possibly because Arizona's on Hard Knocks, the in-season one, that it's so scripted that they said they needed a big talking point this week. It's gotten a little stale, so they decided, they told the Cardinals to cut this guy for no reason, just to bring a little action into Hard Knocks this week. Thoughts?
Another NFL rig conspiracy?
And these conspiracies are really starting to pop up, and they're starting to look a lot more truthful as the season goes on. This Tom Brady narrative is getting to be bullshit.
What, because he's a single man and he's winning games?
Yeah.
Does it have the wife nagging him down?
I was buying the that his wife was a witch theory, but I guess that's maybe.
Yeah, I was into that.
She's a witch.
Sucking his young soul out of him.
Maybe. Yeah. Looks good, doesn't he?
What if he turned back into fat Tom
rough
Brady
the past
after
couple
the divorce
weeks.
was finalized?
So you think it was
Giselle
making him have that diet? That was Giselle's issue. She made him eat like that?
No, his new diet is he just screams "Let's go" into an empty room repeatedly, and that burns calories.
All right, that was the news and notes. We got to get into the soups of the week. The big time players. So soups of the week. Joe's not here, so I'll go.
You like that? You like that?
And you guys can just comment. I'll run through the 30-plus players. Christian Kirk, who was in my start of the week. Dalvin Cook, Jonathan Taylor, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson.
Just to touch on Jefferson, I wrote these down for you guys to discuss. The catch he made on 4th and 18. Okay. First of all, I would rank that probably as the catch of the year, given the moment and all that. Where do you rank it among these 4 catches that I have here? Okay. I have that catch. I have Odell's obviously famous catch against the Cowboys. I have the helmet catch in the Super Bowl, and I have Julian Edelman's catch in the Super Bowl against the Falcons.
I've heard this. These 4 catches have been mentioned since this has happened.
Yes.
I probably last place would be the helmet catch. Sorry.
That's what I have too.
Third place, probably the Edelman. It's a really good play, but as far as like pure catches, like it's not as. It was just a good play, not like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. I also just wanted to work in Edelman as much as possible, but keep going.
Okay. And honestly, I'd probably go the Odell still first. That was like I did the
same rank.
Yeah, I think I go Odell first and then second Justin Jefferson.
Odell 1, Jefferson 2, helmet catch, David Tyree 3, and Edelman 4.
Okay, Sam's gonna be different.
I like him upsetting the undefeated Patriots.
Yeah, I think it depends how much stock you take into the moment, because that catch, they don't win the Super Bowl if that play, the whole play, really. But
yeah, put some respect on Eli's name.
Yeah, G-Men are 7-2. I digress.
Anyways, Christian Kirk looked really good in a good matchup. By the way, Dalvin Cook and Jonathan Taylor looked like players of old. They have both mainly from really long touchdown runs. Jonathan Taylor tried to come back from the dead and kill me this week, but Didn't work
Yeah,
out. And
there
then
was
He's
Andy.
gonna be I think he'll be a top 10 running back for the rest of the season. He won't
really, so
end a
you're
top 10 running back, but for the rest of the season, he will be a top 10 running back.
okay. Well, is now that we're talking about the Colts, as far as coaches go, is he top 5 coach the rest of the way?
I believe he's the only NFL head coach to ever be undefeated.
Yeah,
So
he is. He's good.
if his career ended, he is undefeated.
I think he's the only NFL coach to tweet that a team's not looking good and then weeks later beat them.
Yeah,
Did you know
I
he
mean,
was tied for first place in his ESPN fantasy league with all his ESPN colleagues, and he had to give up his team to Eric Decker afterwards.
There was that reported.
Like once he got
Eric
hired.
Eric Decker.
Good.
Oh my
Well, Jeff
goodness.
Saturday did get his first coaching one. We'll get into that later, but it's good to hear that he gave up his team. Here's the 20 plus players, 20 plus point players. Jeff Wilson Jr., Stephon Diggs, who also had a very good catch. Travis Kelce, Cole Kmet, unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Written off. Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Gabe Davis, James Conner, Donta Foreman, Devontae Adams, Paris Campbell, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, Terry McLaurin. Gabe Davis was my sit of the week. Had a good week that I didn't expect. Shouldn't be a 20 plus point player. That last catch was not a catch, and I stand by it.
Absolutely was not.
100% fixed. I'm really starting to get sick of the Bills. Josh Allen is a real bitch, if you ask me. I think he's doing a lot of complaining to refs as soon as something doesn't go his way. And then his arm hurts. When he threw that pick, did anyone see him sit on the turf face down for about a minute after he threw the pick? And then everyone's making excuses. Oh, he tried to poke it out with his right arm. That's the arm that's hurt. Well, it looked fine throwing the ball all day, except for the one time he threw a pick, and then he milked it and laid in his tears for about 20 minutes. Not a fan of the Bills, and I'm glad they lost the game.
I know that Sam here is the stat man, but I do have one little stat about the Bills, even though, since we're on the subject. In the red zone in the fourth quarter of the season, the Bills have the second lowest touchdown rate. At only 25% do they score a touchdown when they're in the red zone in the fourth quarter. So that's just, I don't really know how much stock you take into it, but that's not good.
Josh Allen's had a turnover in his last 7 games. The next most is their last 3 games. I think it's Taylor Heineke.
Well, I'll just relay stuff I hear in Baltimore all the time because Lamar Jackson gets as much hate as any other person. If Lamar Jackson was doing the stuff Josh Allen was doing right now, he would be, you would never hear the end of it. But for some reason, Josh Allen gets a pass for doing all this dumb shit.
Is it because he's a run first or, a running quarterback, or is it because he's black? Where is
It
this
could be
hate coming
both,
from?
but Josh Allen runs just as much as anyone else. And by the way, Josh Allen takes more hits than any other quarterback.
Yeah,
like
he gets
real
his ass
hits.
kicked.
Hard hits. Yeah.
Yeah. They always say, oh, well, Lamar was hit this many times. That's just because it counts as a hit when you touch him down, to be honest. But Lamar does a great job of avoiding
Push
big
him out
hits.
of bounds. Yeah.
Good God, Josh Allen runs in like a fullback sometimes. He just goes shoulder to shoulder like he's, I don't know, Walter Payton back in the day. It's unbelievable. Anyway, had to get all that stuff off my chest. Cole Kmet, I guess you have to pick him up because the Bears are red hot, but unbelievable. This guy didn't do a damn thing, and now in the last 3 weeks, he's caught 5 touchdowns.
Yeah,
I don't
he
know
has more
what's-
fantasy points. He has more fantasy points than Kyle Pitts now.
Well, that's not hard to do.
I don't know what's changed in Chicago over the past 3 weeks, but it's like they flipped a switch. It's unbelievable.
They're letting Fields, I guess, run an offense that works better for him. James Conner looks pretty good. Scored twice. Paris Campbell, I think, is an option now that Sam Ellinger is no longer going to play football. And I thought Terry McLaurin looked really good. It'll be interesting to see where they go quarterback this next week because I think Wentz can return from IR.
I don't know how you don't stick with Heineke.
Yeah,
it doesn't look pretty, but he
him,
keeps
though.
winning. Yeah, but there's a big incentive for him to not play again. If Wentz doesn't play another game, they don't have to give a compensatory, however you say, compensatory draft pick to Indianapolis. So there is incentive not to play him.
What would that be, a 4th for Wentz? Because I don't think he'd be a 3rd unless his contract would make him a 3rd.
I think it was a 4th and some money as well would go to Indy if he plays a certain percentage of the games, which would be if he played like another game, he gets that incentive hits.
Interesting. Definitely something to look into. I picked him up in another league, Wentz, because I have Gino. So just a week early to see, but I might pivot to someone else. Anyways, the top QBs of the week. Fields obviously has been amazing. Patrick Mahomes, Tua, Josh Allen still had a good week because of the rushing yards despite the turnovers, and Aaron Rodgers. This is the first time we've seen his name up here. Didn't throw the ball a ton, but a pretty good day from the Packers, who got a much needed win. Let's go to the Tylers of the week.
Yeah, Mo, that team sure did suck last night. They just plain sucked. I've seen teams suck before, but they were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
All right, Gerald Everett, groin injury, and he's a tight end. A little unfair to be on here. Najee Harris, who is a what, Sam?
He is just a bad athlete at this point.
Bad.
Can I give a word of advice to Najee Harris? Because he's listening. We know he's listening. So I'd like to say this to Najee Harris. You're a big, stocky guy. You're built, you're strong. But I don't think football is for you. I think a job in serious manual labor is more your style. Why don't you go to Seattle and throw the fish at the market or sit on top of the cranes in the Empire State Building? Go do something where you got to lift heavy things. Football is not for you.
How about a coal miner? They get a lot of mines in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he can go mine till the cows come home because he can't run a goddamn football.
Not athletic enough for a coal mine.
Oh boy. Mike Gesicki, another tight end getting ragged on here. Cordero Patterson, I don't know what was up. They gave 4 different guys touches that night. Joshua Palmer, yeah, he's been not good. Had one really good week, but kind of disappointing this year. Juju, concussed. Greg Dulcich, I don't blame him. He had actually I don't know if you guys saw this. He had a great downfield route, and Russ overthrew him. It would have been like a 60-yard touchdown.
I think when Dulcich, when he turned around to look for the ball, he went to lateral instead of going straight for the ball.
Oh, so
at least that's what
Don't be a Russ
saying.
apologist. Don't be a Russ apologist.
No, I still blame it on Russ because he said Broncos country less ride after the game.
Did you see the stat man about
Pathetic.
if they scored 18 points all year, they'd be 8-1?
I did see that.
Yeah.
Yep,
Well,
their defense is giving up 16.4 points per game, and they have a losing
they're good.
record.
So Amari Cooper also on here, which I warned you. I still liked him because it was a good matchup. This guy can't play football on the road. I don't know what's wrong. He's averaging 2 catches and 20 yards in road games. Unbelievable.
The comforts of Cleveland, the beautiful comfort of Cleveland, Ohio. It's hard to play anywhere else.
Kyle Sticky Pitts, no stranger. David Montgomery. You got to keep playing him. It's just because Fields is taking all the running opportunity. But now with Herbert out, I mean, you got to keep playing him. They have a pretty good matchup against Atlanta this week. Chris Olave, not his fault. Why is Andy Dalton still playing quarterback for the Saints?
Get him out of here.
I saw something today where Jameis, I don't know if the word was expected, but I think there's a good chance that he'll be starting week 11.
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
What are they trying to accomplish here? Because it's not working. DJ Moore, I mean, that's just a DJ Moore game. It seems like he was wide open, by the way, for a touchdown on a seam route, and they threw it somewhere else. So what are you going to do? Debo, a little concerned about Debo because there seems to be a lot of options there in San Francisco now.
Too many
mouths to feed.
Way too many mouths to feed.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Elijah Mitchell isn't even an option.
He might be a weekly flex. If they said, I don't know if you heard, but they said it's gonna be a 50-50 split. So
they said that was the plan, but if that was the plan, what was the point in getting McCaffrey anyway? If you were just going to half use him,
because he's still McCaffrey. I mean, his 20 touches are more productive than any other, except maybe DeAndre Swift, who we'll jump down to in a second, because he scored a touchdown this week, didn't he? Yeah,
he did. It broke my heart a little, but not that much.
And this guy continues to get no work, but when someone needs, I don't know who it is, statman, I'm going to put you on it. If you could. This is your homework for the week. If you could break down DeAndre Swift's points per touch, he's got to be number 1 in the league. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Okay, I could do that.
Okay. But he's on here. Alan Lazard. Yeah, it was a tough one. They didn't throw it a lot. Zach Ertz got hurt. Jerry Jeudy got hurt. A little unfair. Pat Freiermuth. I was really happy to get rid of Deontay Johnson. You can look at any expert and say, oh, well, he's due to regress back to the mean because he gets so many targets. Dude, the Pittsburgh Steelers suck. And I know they just won a game, but it's because of the defense. At first I hated Kenny Pickett when he got drafted, and then I started to kind of like him, but that team is not ready to do anything offensively. They can't run. Pickett looks like he's not prepared, like not ready, and there's not a good offensive line. I mean, who wants a piece of that offense?
No, with
I don't
Watt
care
back,
about
though, their
Deontay
defense
Johnson.
looked really good.
I don't care about how many targets Deontay Johnson gets. He's not scoring. So Cooper Kupp's on here. Another one that's tough shot. Brandon Cooks. I didn't even think he was going to play this week, but he did. Caught a touchdown that was called back, though. So something to look at.
Nice.
Derrick Henry. Weird
Here
one.
comes.
In a close game. Alvin Kamara and George Kittle.
Put them on me. Yeah.
Bottom quarterbacks, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, Jimmy G, Kirk Cousins, Marcus Mariota. Really odd here because the quarterbacks were all kind of average. Like, I bet if you, besides Justin Fields and Mahomes, and I'll even say Tua I think was at like 24, but like Allen was at 18, and Kirk's on this bottom 5, and he had 16. Marcus Mariota had 17.
Jimmy G got me 16 in a spot start because Kyler was out. I'm not going to be upset about that.
The QBs are a wash this week, but that was the Soups and Tyler's the week. Fantasy matchup recap. Derek, now 7-3, probably Derek's best season ever. He beat Bryce. Sam Smith smells, it says on here.
Yeah.
Did you write that, Sam?
No, that was for
I
me.
didn't.
Oh.
That was just so I could remember which Sam Smith we were talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, he won. He's now 5-5. He beat Atkins in a big win. Soup now 4-6 as he beats Jake Wills. And could someone read that last one for me?
Where was that? That was like Nick Testoni defeated reigning champion, now current chump Andy Collins, and is no longer in the basement of I believe the league is called the Jack Sucks Fantasy League currently.
Yeah, it's been that for about a week or about a year. But no, I'm 3-7 now, and we'll get to standings in a minute. Jackson won. He's now 9-1, beating Diego. Joe, and by the way, Diego's in real trouble because Diego's only source of. Oh boy.
Well, you would think 5 wins is enough to not lose the league. In the past, I don't know that we've ever had a 4-win loser,
No.
but this year
maybe.
Yeah, so he's definitely losing Cup is tough.
And the usual Joe Briner won, beat Spano 7-3, and quickly, if I could just go find the standings, because God knows I didn't like to look at them for the entirety of the year. It was week 6 when I got my first win. Well, I am no longer in the basement, ladies and gentlemen.
Why you say that? It was discussed in our group chat today, but crazy enough, you are currently in 10th now. You're no longer even in 11th.
Yes.
The 11th and 12th place teams, Andy and Spano, have the same exact number of points down to the 100th decimal. 10 weeks through the season. Jackson
stands alone, 9-1 in first. Second and third, 7-3 teams between Derek and Joey. 4 or 5-5 teams. Sam Smith, who is a dangerous team, and let's just say Brees Hall, man. Sorry I had to do that to you, but I haven't been in another league. It would have been nice.
A lot of ifs.
But Sam was struggling early in the year. He's worked his way back into the fold, now in a playoff spot at 5-5. So is Jake Wills, Andrew Atkins, and our auto drafter, Diego Grijalva. And then a couple of 4-6 teams, Soup and Bryce. And then the bottom, the 3-7s, myself, Andy, and Spano. But the big thing here is I've really moved up. I have more points in both those teams. I'm now in 10th. And by the way, I'm not out of a playoff spot. I sit only 2 games back of the final playoff spot.
There's a chance. I was looking at schedules, and the head-to-heads, there has to be at least a 6-loss team. There has to be, I believe, in the playoffs. So there is a chance for you to make the playoffs. And a couple things I'd like to touch on, if we may, before we go into the recap. First of all, Nick, if you go ahead and cue the celebration music here. Now that he's back, I'd like to officially at this moment induct Duke Johnson into the Milk with Ice Ring of Honor. He has earned it. He was drafted by me this year, as he was every year, Miami guy. Let me tell you what, he ran hard. Didn't get many looks, but when I saw him on the field, my jaw dropped to the floor. It was amazing.
Did he return kicks? Was that something he was doing?
He was returning kicks, and I don't have it here how many touches he had on the field, but he did have a couple, and they were electric, to say the least. It's glad to see he's getting a job.
A staple of this league for years. It was great to see him back. He deserves all the love he gets. Maybe we'll reach out, try to get him on an episode one time.
He's not usually up to much, so maybe we'd be able to get him.
Sam, you got any stats you want to drop in right now? Or you want to hold them for the games?
No, hold on to him for the games.
All right. Well, not really much more to talk about. So we'll hit a quick break and then we'll just run through Sunday's action, the games. We'll also be able to run through Monday's game since this is coming on Wednesday, filming on Tuesday. So we'll be back and we'll come back with a Sunday and Monday recap.